What the heck is a quad lock?
Watch this to find out. Whether you're in the car, on the bike, on the water, in the air, your phone is an important tool. Keep it secure with Quad Lock.
We texted after, I said, how'd you go after the race? You must be knackered. And he said, I actually got a second wind with 50 to go once I took a piss.
NASCAR parity issue that they never talk about it. This weekend at Atlanta, in qualifying, the top 8 were all Fords.
I would have loved to have seen Hocevar and Stenhouse duke it out in the oval towards the end.
Stenhouse would beat the shit out of you if he heard you say that.
Yeah,
He's a bit of a fighter.
He'd throw fists for sure. Denny Hamlin had a disaster. He's out.
Had a wreck, so Ty Dillon got to the next. He's into the next round.
Who you got between Will and Shane?
It's a freaking street track. Anything can happen.
Oh no! He's in the fence! The boat's in the fence! All in the fence! Oh, unbelievable!
Sound check.
Sound check. It's beautiful tonight, crisp.
Cheers, big ears.
Crisp Sunday night in Melbourne. It's great to be back here, Elliot. This is a tad spontaneous, this one. NASCAR was an absolute banger of a race, so we thought,
We're that
not?
organised, mate. Literally probably 4 hours ago, he texted me and said, should we just do a NASCAR one tonight? As I was sitting on the couch. I said, hell yeah, let's do it.
So
then I said, should we meet at the pub first? And you said, that's an even better idea. So here we are.
We've got a newly refurbished pub just like 100 metres from my office. And so we checked it out for the first time tonight. But yeah, I was legit edge of my seat all day. I don't know, how long did the race go for? Must have been like 5 hours, 4.5 hours.
It was 260 laps, 270 laps?
Yeah, but the laps are almost irrelevant because with cautions and things, they stopped with the rain as well.
Definitely over 2-3 hours. It would have been over 3 hours, I reckon.
Oh, no, it was like 4 to 5 because it started at like 9 a.m. But anyway, it was a very long race and they stopped for the rain and everything. So, to stay on the edge of your seat, it kind of, for me, it just showed how good that race was. Because Pocono, we talked about that last week. The aero wash there was a bit of a battle. It wasn't a massive, there you go, Amanda Smith's trained 5.5 hours.
Holy shit, was it that long?
It was insane.
I mean, I probably should have tracked my heart rate because even, as you say, sitting on the couch, when Shane was amongst it, there's probably 60 odd laps where I didn't blink, I don't reckon. I rode every corner with him. Yeah. And you're like, what's going on? So yeah.
I was getting up and just walking around the coffee table. But anyway, I mean, I sound like an absolute diehard, which I am. I'm a long-time fan. I've even got the jacket in here.
You've got the merch on, mate. You're as official as it gets.
For someone that doesn't even drink beer to be sitting here, I feel like it's I'm full race fan here. I don't even drink beer. But anyway, I got the Bud jacket on. I'm a big fan of the retro merch, and I'm in love with NASCAR now as well. I think that the Pocono race, like I said last week, was a bit of a battle because of the aero wash. For whatever reason, though, Atlanta, the racing was unbelievable. It was like watching the last 10 laps the entire time. So I think the stage worked really well. Those stage wins today, first and second stage, spiced it up. And then there was a massive shunt, which we'll get into, but 23 cars went out and a lot of the guys you would call favourites were in that. And it meant that you ended up with a battle. And I think at one point they called out the top 10, had no wins this year and were all in dire situations. It was like win and you're in, like they were on the bubble. So they were desperate of a race win. So I think everyone was driving with that in mind and it just made for a cracking race. And of course, keeping an eye on Shane too. It was like you said, it was like, most of the race, I think 180 he went out, like 180. He got tagged and taken out. But up until then, he ran in the top 10 pretty much all day. So it was very exciting.
Should we dive into qual first before we go into the race, mate? Do you want to touch on some of that stuff?
Let's do it. There's a couple of supercar rounds coming up actually though. So just before we do, if you want a high car, East Coast Car Rentals AHU 15 for 15% off on already fantastic priced hire cars. I just want to remind everyone that is a fantastic deal that they offer to you guys, big supporters of ours, but they also want to give back to you. So if you want 15% off your hire car, East Coast Car Rentals, AHU15 is the discount code. And I'll put the link to all of the brands you see behind us here on the screens as well. Trico products, fantastic wiper blades if you're in the market for those. And then if you want to buy a car, not rent one, Lancaster Motor Group, also a big supporter of ours, Shaw & Partners Financial Services. I'll drop the ad in for those as well that I've done a little reading for. But again, the links to these will be in the description. And Quadlock, mate, big supporters of ours, and we have since day one used their mounts just even here on the pod, but also for the action camera mounts as well, a whole bunch of different stuff. So I'll put the link to their website, quadlockcase.net, in the description. You can take a look at all their products, and I can say that I'll have to do this it's a limited run we're getting, but we are doing Apex Hunters cases. They'll be on our website within the next 2 weeks, but we're going to release those early to Patreon members because they will be a limited run. So if you're a member of our Patreon, you will get first dibs on that. And we are live streaming tonight for our members also. So if you wonder who we call out in the chat, those names are actually our members that join us for these live streams when we're...
Backbone of the show, Scott.
Keeps going, mate. They do. But they also, as we've already seen tonight, give us the stats that we aren't good enough to provide ourselves with. They correct us when we're wrong. And they're our phone a friend, technically.
Exactly.
So, yeah, thanks for joining us. But, qualify, mate. Let's roll into it because there's a few key points out of that I think that are interesting to go over.
Yeah. I mean, Supercars talks a lot about parity, and we said in the last show, NASCAR have parity issues, but they never talk about it. And interesting because this weekend at Atlanta, in qualifying, the top 8 were all Fords.
Yes, and they weren't at Pocono, were they?
No, and Pocono was all essentially 6 Toyotas in the top 10. So it's just interesting that in NASCAR they do have these tracks that are obviously suit the engine manufacturers or the body shapes. It doesn't really affect the racing, but qualifying on that one lap, you really see there's obviously a difference because very strange for there to be 8 straight Fords. And the first non-Ford was Alex Bowman in 9th in a Chev, and then you had Chase Briscoe in 10th in a Toyota. And they were both 2/10 off, which is a fair margin on a NASCAR-style circuit like that. So just thought worth mentioning that it was a bit of a Ford Cup in qual.
Yeah.
And Penske looked pretty good in qual. They had Logano, Blaney, Sindri, and Josh Berry, which is essentially like a satellite sort of Penske car. Were all top 4, but didn't pan out for him in the race, as we'll dive into.
Yeah, I think the Who Remembered Who Forgot is always a bit of a favourite of ours, and I think some of our listeners love it too. It started a long time ago where we joke about drivers that might have. It's always dictated by the car's performance, and we just like to say drivers don't typically forget how to drive, but sometimes you roll up to a track and the car's not in the window and you might suck balls. And on this, what we're seeing in NASCAR is kind of the same because we look back at Pocono to do just a comparison because off the back of Mexico where Shane won, he got a heap of flack from people. Particularly Richard Petty did not like the winning you're in situation when it comes to someone like Shane winning on a road course and then making it in on the ovals. So we went through some of the numbers, and I think it's important to just show, comparing to his teammates who are great. I mean, Ross Chastain in particular, he's qualified very close to. I think in this one, it was 21st and 23rd.
Yeah, so this weekend we had Ross in 34th, Shane in 35th.
The last one I meant. Sorry, I got that wrong. So 21st last week and 23rd the following was Shane. So, you come off of the road courses and it's easy to say Shane sucks on the oval, and that's what I think a lot of people are trying to say. But it does seem car dominant, same as what we talk about here in supercars. It's just that the coverage, they don't ever talk parity. The media never addresses it. But I think it's fair to say that, Logano last week was the top Penske and he was in 12th. Yep. So you would say that Logano remembered because he's pole this week to go from 12th to pole and was running like he was fast all day, but until he wrecked. But drivers don't typically remember and forget. I think it's important to say that even on the ovals, I would say it's very car dominant. Toyota last week in qualifying and Ford this week for sure.
100%. And to give some of our maybe Australian, New Zealand fans that don't watch a lot of NASCAR, Ross Chastain's qualifying time this weekend was a 31.484 and Shane was a 31.485.
Oh, he's nowhere compared to him.
And Daniel Suarez, which was the best of the Trackhouse cars, was in position 31. He was a 31.446. And then you had Connor Zilic, who was the other Trackhouse, in a 31.5. So it's like...
Everyone's talking up Zilic as well at the moment. And I think he's obviously really bloody good.
Yep.
But there you go. As of this weekend, he's out-qualified Zilic on an oval. And I think it's very clear there. You hear the numbers that the car is... And that is motorsport. It's not a negative about the sport. I think it's just something you've got to look at and consider. And people like Richard Petty, I'm sure he rates Ross Chastain. And he'd say he's great on an oval. He's won on ovals. It's like he won this year on an oval.
He's been on the playoffs and all sorts of stuff.
Like his drive through the field after the wreck and the practice session.
Yeah.
I can't remember which event that was.
Coke 600 he won, wasn't it?
It was like just a few events ago, he wins on the oval. And now, So anyway, I think a little bit of...
the other interesting thing, sorry to jump in, Scotty, on that is too, you've got my main man, Denny Hamlin, qualified 33rd, so just in front of Ross Chastain and Shane with a 31.463. So, how good's Denny?
He was pole last week. So there we go. We've found out who remembered and who forgot. We'll get into that early because that's usually something we save for the end. But I'd say Ryan Blaney's my who remembered. And going by that, Denny Hamlin forgot this week.
If you go on quality trim, you're not wrong.
And so I wonder if Richard Petty will come out and slam Denny Hamlin this week.
Yeah, and Blaney for being Blaney will remember this week, but no good last week.
Yeah. So anyway, it is interesting, but the races are very hard to, and that's what I enjoyed the most about today's race. You just don't know who's going to win. And I quite like MotoGP, and it's very similar. You often don't know who is going to have the rear tyre last to the end of the race, or you could have a battle that goes for, there's the old famous one with Rossi and Stoner at Laguna Seca. You often get that, whereas F1, and even IndyCar on the weekend, you didn't know who was going to win that race at Road America. It was right down to the wire. I think two to go. There was a lead change where one didn't make it on fuel with Dixon. But F1, you usually know. Like this weekend, we got Lando Norris on pole tonight, 5 tenths ahead of the field.
Big lad.
If he gets a good start on a track like that at the Red Bull Ring, I don't see there being any lead changes. And that's why today I was just edging my seat the whole day. And who you're going for, I feel like it kind of changes throughout the day because your favourite driver, you're a big Denny fan, is out. Then you go, okay, so who's next in those races?
And I jumped on the Shane bandwagon.
Yeah.
And then he was out.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, fuck, okay. And then I jumped on the Chase Elliot bandwagon.
Right. So you got on that one. I never got on that. I was Keselowski.
I wanted Brad for a little bit to win there, but then you always go back to which manufacturer do you prefer, I think, as fans. And I'm more of a Chev person than a Ford guy. So then I started rooting for the Chevs.
See, I've never been that. I'm always driver.
Yeah, no, I get.
Yeah, you're a Chev. Yeah, I get it.
I'm definitely I have my manufacturers I prefer. So they're always, you've got your sort of A, B, C, D list. But yeah, I was texting a mate while the race was on, and then he was able to see that Chase was looking pretty good, and then I thought that'd be nice, and then he made it happen.
The app.
Yes.
Talk about off topic already. This is derailing the show.
But that's cool. That's what we do.
But we were going through the app at the pub before we came on here, and supercars have got to get on that NASCAR train because there's a few apps, like other sports do things really well, but I hadn't been through the NASCAR app, and you pay for the subscription.
Yeah.
Well worth the money, I think.
Pay for the app. I don't think I actually can't remember the exact amount, but I don't think it was a lot for me to pay for it. It obviously wasn't a lot because I'm a bit of a Terry tight ass. But the app is, anyone that's running sport and wants to see how to model their digital platform and their app, you need to check it out because some of the functionality on it is just awesome.
Even the way you shared me highlights today. Yeah. I think you just text me the highlights straight from the app of particular cars. Yeah. And then also the stats you get from each driver and things is unreal.
Very user-friendly.
So a lot of the stuff we've got in the pod tonight is actually straight from the app. So
if it's wrong, blame NASCAR.
Exactly.
But let's just fire into the talking points. Obviously, big shunt there, Scotty, that took out most of the key players, which we just sort of gently touched on earlier.
23 cars, dude.
23 cars. I think was it all of the Penske cars that were hooked into that, or most of them anyway?
I think all of them. Cindric tried to punch the gap.
Yeah.
By the way, that car looked awesome this weekend. I don't know how you say it, Quaker State.
Quaker State, yeah.
I reckon that is like a Days of Thunder livery, that one. That's like the old mellow yellow car. I thought it looked awesome. Yeah. Anyway, he tried to punch the gap. Seas open for a little moment, and then they closed abruptly, and Cindric plowed straight through. It sort of reminded me of Will Davo back in Tassie when he almost made it through down by the arm coat.
Hairpin, yeah.
And then it shut very hard on him. And
he broke his ankle in that.
Who?
Davo.
Did he actually?
Yeah.
I went over and checked on him. I mustn't have listened to him after I was in that crash as well. But yes, I think they were all in at the Penske car. It's a disaster for them. And I think Blaney going out he's probably one of your other favourites as well. We are hoping that I'd love to try and get one of these guys on the pod if we go over to America later with Shane. Blaney's the guy, isn't he?
He's always one in the racing too that seems to just drag it back in there when he just always seems to be in with a chance, and it's like the way he goes about it. But yeah, that was obviously a massive shunt. My favourite Denny got taken out of that, which is a bit of a shame. There were some amazing battles through the pack. And for those in our Patreon, feel free to fire in which battles you enjoyed. But really liked the battle between Chase Elliott and Tyler Reddick in stage 2.
Yeah.
Without jumping too far ahead. That was just really notable and memorable. There was some super aggressive drafting going on and moves and just the pushes that people were setting up for each other. And that's the other thing I like about watching NASCAR is there's the big manufacturer thing there, and you'll really see they're not the same teammates, but they're teammates from a manufacturer, and they'll actually work together, and that's always good. You can see, there's a Toyota behind Toyota. He's going to get I think that's something that's missing. We obviously don't have that culture in Australia because the manufacturers don't back everyone.
They did try to do it. Sorry to just jump in, but at Tasmania before the supercar event, they did do a Ford trip.
Oh, right.
And I think they split the drivers up in rental cars from the airport to the event to the venue, wherever they were staying, because JC was in the car with Chaz, and then I think Woody was with Love. No, it wouldn't have been Love then. It would have been Cameron.
Cameron, yeah.
And so they actually tried to do a bit of a team bonding thing as Ford team.
Right.
And that I think is because of the playoff style season we're pushing in supercars this year. They want to try and get to working together.
Yeah.
So I think there is something like that they're trying to do in supercars, which is really cool to see.
Yeah. It's probably a bit less likely to happen though when the manufacturers aren't backing everyone here, if that makes sense. Like to the same,
for the drivers to buy in on it.
Yeah, to the same level. Like if all the drivers were getting, say, an extra $100K a year from the manufacturer, you'd be like, no worries. If I'm having shit, I'll push him up in front.
You push a Ford across the line, you get a bonus, or you get an extra $5,000 in your back pocket for helping out a Ford would be. But for sure.
I think as just a casual viewer on the couch watching NASCAR at home, that adds to the excitement when you can see manufacturers working together and going, there's 4 Chevs as an example.
Yeah.
Pushing a row, they're going to train their way through.
Talking about this, actually, Paul Cooney has put in a good point. Kind of looked like SVG and Zilich might have been able to work better together during the second segment. I'm sure it's not easy, but they seem to be close enough together to try it out. I
thought
they weren't working together.
Yeah, no, that's a good pickup because I saw that when Connor got on the back of SVG and I thought, we're on now. Like Connor's going to push him up, but
Zilich
just seemed to always get a gap. Like he never got to his rear bar, and I don't know why that is.
But he never picked his lane.
Yeah, right.
So like I kept looking at that, going, why does he just keep every time Shane would come in front of him, he'd pick a different lane.
Maybe he didn't want to help him.
It was literally like he was not.
Yeah, right.
Getting on the back of Shane, and I was like, why doesn't he just pick Shane and push him along?
Push them both through, yeah.
And he just kept being split by a lane. I thought that was odd. So, yeah, good pickup, Paul. I think I did watch that during the race, and I didn't make a note about it, but I thought, it has jogged my memory there. I thought that was interesting. So, I don't know. Maybe there's a fake rivalry we can muster up there.
Pretty sure they're buds, but anyway, we can.
Hey, yeah, they're probably tied as, but I don't know. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but it did seem odd.
Chris Buescher had some big saves too.
Oh, dude.
He had a couple real Code Brown moments.
Yeah.
So he did well to hold on to a few of those. I thought, he's gone for sure, and God knows how he pulled them back because holy shit, a couple of times I thought he was on the rack stops there.
I don't know how they saved a few of them. Like at 200 mile an hour.
And the cars just look so stiff and so like, they're just, obviously there's so much aero going over them.
Yeah.
Like if they just get out of that happy spot, they just look like they'd be absolutely deadly. But that was another battle I really enjoyed was Buescher and Chase Elliott's. Again, that was some super aggressive drafting and race. I thought that was really entertaining as well.
I was disappointed not to see Reddick get a result in the end. Like he finished up 4th.
It's another one I like.
But I just thought he was there all day. Like him and Buescher had to be top 5 like nearly that entire race. And I really thought Keselowski was the guy I was riding at the end thinking, come on, like I wanted him to get a result. And I don't even know why. Just, once Shane was out, you kind of find that guy you lean towards. And I thought Brad was on. I don't have a great feeling towards Stenhouse, full fan mode. Mm-hmm. Sure, he's a great bloke, but I would have loved to have seen Hocevar and Stenhouse duke it out on the oval towards the end.
Stenhouse would beat the shit out of you if he heard you say that.
Yeah,
he's a bit of a fighter.
He'd throw fists for sure. But yeah, I think there's a few guys in there. Obviously, Brad I was going for, and then when Ricky took the lead late in the race, it was like literally 4 to go. I think he took the lead, and so I was a little worried there. But Hocevar was the guy I thought right behind Brad, wanting him to win. I thought Hocevar would have been really cool because I'd love to see him make the playoffs because I think he's such an aggressive driver. Exactly. And he was in the 10 on fresh tyres after the final stop, but he did fade a little bit. He finished up 10th, but he was right there. I thought, I really want him to make that playoff and see what he can do.
He's exciting to watch because he's a bit of an agitator.
Yeah,
you can tell and young race car drivers shouldn't give a shit about what other people think either. So he's doing an amazing job from that point of view. he's not worried about upsetting whoever he's racing.
Yep.
Which is good. So, yeah, to your point, if you threw him in the finals, like, he's the guy that's just going to ride a wall to get in the finals or to send it up. I mean, I know they're not allowed to do the wall rides anymore, but he's going to do something, anything he can do to get in.
100%.
Whether it means binning his grandma, he's going to do it for a spot in the finals. So, he is good to watch. So, and they've turned those cars on too. Like, they're like the last, 4 or 5 weeks, he's kind of been thereabouts.
Which is surprising when you look at the...
Apart from Mexico, shit at Mexico. But.
When you look at the bubble, I'm surprised that it feels like that's the tricky thing with this winning you're in as well. Like,
the wins make such a
having
difference.
a good season on points doesn't really matter. Like Carson Hocevar is... So top 16 make it through, but he's P20 at the moment and he's 62 points shy of the bubble. So...
He needs a win.
He needs a win.
But I know you touched on it earlier pre-show. I reckon it's coming.
Oh, fuck, I hope so.
Going on like he'll be somewhere in the top 4 with a lap to go and he's just going to – there'll be a wreck or he'll cause a wreck or something and he'll sail his way through.
Yep.
I can see it right now.
Zane Smith, I would say, impressed me during the race.
He was –
he had 17 cup starts, I think I saw today. I looked that up because I was surprised to see him leading.
He led for a bit, yeah.
Yeah. So he actually led 5 laps during the race. And I was pretty impressed. I thought, fuck, I mean, he's doing a good job. He's obviously a gun in the truck series. But yeah, to see, I think the step up, when I heard Denny Hamlin talk about how far it is between Xfinity and Cup, I thought it was awesome to see someone, just 17 starts in the Cup series running at the front.
Well, and then you go back to Connor.
Yeah.
He was running in the 10.
No one talked about him all day, did they?
What's he had? 2 or 3 Cup starts, I think. This might have been his 3rd.
Yeah.
Third or second. And again, I think that plays to that feeder, the feeder series that they have in NASCAR via trucks, via Xfinity. It obviously, I know the cars are wildly different, but obviously it does give them the right tools because you can have guys like Zane and Connor jump in. And early days, if the car's underneath them and they have a bit of luck, they can run in the 10.
Yep.
They can lead some laps. So it does probably show that feeder system does work.
Yeah, and doing the miles, there's no substitute for race laps and maturing during a race. Like I always think about Bathurst as something similar to NASCAR where one of the most important things all day is never panicking, never lose your cool, don't race for the corner you're in, but race for lap 161. And that's quite a hard thing to do when you're a rookie or you're early in your career when you're trying to prove a point or you get caught up in one little battle. And I think watching NASCAR, they're amazing at letting things go. They don't squeeze people unnecessarily. They give each other space. The amount of times they're rolling off throttle because they've got to run, but there's nowhere to go. So rather than do a desperate lunge, they'll give it up and wait 5 laps for another run or another opportunity to come later in the day. And that comes with experience. I think that's where doing the Xfinity series on the Saturday works really well for those guys. Because even though the cars are different, you run an oval, they're long races. Like that Xfinity race was real long as well on Saturday. He finished 4th in it, but that experience running laps and kind of losing that desperation is really important. I reckon that's why at the end of the day, he stays out of trouble. He's not trying to prove a point. He's trying to survive and race to be there at the end of the day rather than the battle is in. And I think that does only come with experience, but that's the benefit of racing bloody 36 weeks a year or 40 weeks a year, whatever they do, and being able to do Xfinity as well every now and then for the full-time Cup guys or vice versa for the Xfinity guys to do a couple Cup Series races. They can keep their head. For us in Australia, you've got, a 40-minute race is probably the longest you'll ever do. And then you roll up to Bathurst at 6 hours. Yes, 2 drivers, but to keep your head in the game, it's a totally different approach.
I think, it's the mentality to it too. I think you're right. It's like doing a 12-hour or anything like that. Yeah, you know that there's going to be times where you can get back in it via a safety car and obviously with all the cautions that they have in NASCAR, to your point, you would be less desperate.
Yep.
Especially when you're sitting there for 3 hours or whatever it is and you go, well, we're 30 minutes in, there's going to be another 7, 8, 10 cautions potentially.
Yep.
I'm going to get another 4 sets of tyres or whatever. Like, let's just calm the farm and just bring this thing home. So it is, and I think that's why you do get – I think that's why that middle part of that race was so exciting because they were racing their asses off, but they weren't willing to shunt yet.
Yeah.
Because they were still so fast. So you just got really high quality racing. And that's why I think towards the end of it, with 15 to go, you can tend to get some shit racing. Because people are like, fuck it, I'm tired now. I just
like Daytona.
Yeah.
It's like they don't even care about finishing at all. They just want to win the race or wreck.
Yeah.
Physically must be like I thought that today actually how hard it must be. I mean, I guess racing into the night means the temperature's not as bad, but mentally to stay switched on for
I was rooted sitting on the couch watching, let alone driving the thing.
Mate, the other point is, and I'll give this away, you might not like it, but I must have taken 4 or 5 piss stops myself during the race. Yeah. Shane, I said, we text after, I said, how'd you go after the race? You must be knackered. And he said, I actually got a second wind with 50 to go once I took a piss. So that...
dirty boy.
Yeah, okay, he's going to hate that I've given that away. But I've thought that a few times watching their races, like you're not getting out. Even under the caution, they just sat there. I'm like, they got a bloody bladder in the back of the car they can hook up to or something, because how do you do 5 hours and you got to stay hydrated? You're constantly drinking in the car.
I once heard a story. I don't want to say who name was in case I get it wrong, but they, like back in the day, open wheelers, they used to get a bike tube and they'd cut it in half. And
I know who it was. I won't give that away.
And they'd put it over their snorkel and run it down their leg. So if they needed to have a whiz on the grid, they could. Have you heard that story too?
It's in the car.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I thought they ran it and just tucked the bike thing down their leg, and then it was in there. And then if they...
It's in the race car, yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, I know who it is. I won't give it away. He's quite a good driver.
Yeah. No.
He's one of the good ones. So, but I won't give that away. But you're right. There is someone that has a external catheter in the race car.
I'd run that for sure if I was in NASCAR. I'd have like something that I could just like... I don't want to. I'm a tight ass man. I'm not buying 2 suits. Okay, so I don't want to have to whiz in my suit or my suit.
I think we've established you're a tight ass. The $40 or whatever it was for a NASCAR membership per year was your limit.
It was.
But yeah, it is a battle. If anyone's wondering, like I've done it in the race car. It's not, and it is at Bathurst. It's like it's a long time to sit in the car for. So I'm not throwing shade, but I did think that today. I'm like, fuck, I have to keep getting up, going to the loo. But yeah, with 50 to go, Shane got another wind. But mentally, those races, I reckon that has to be the biggest challenge, because we obviously have 2 drivers when we talk Bathurst 1000 here in Australia, but to do a single driver event and go for 4 or 5 hours it is definitely a mental, to be able to make a decision and not get frustrated for that long is really...
And the margins. Like, I got the shits big time when Ty Gibbs bumped Shane and put him out, and I was blowing up deluxe. Yeah. And then I sort of thought, well, they're splitting hairs at over 200 miles per hour. Like, maybe I'm being a bit harsh here, but I was not happy, because you always back your horse, right? But it must be so hard, to your point, mate, an hour into a race, 2 hours in a race, 200 mile an hour, trying to position your car with it moving around the air and buffering everything like a mil off some guy's bumper.
Yep.
There probably should be more accidents than there is, to be honest.
Yeah, and because that was, you bring that up, like I text you in our chat and said, like, why do the commentators not really, they don't like analyze any of the accidents. They're just like, oh, there's a wreck, 23 cars are out. All right, we'll go yellow in a minute. We'll take an ad break now. And then that's it. Like they don't look at, when that 23 wreck, I still don't really know what caused it. Like Denny looked like he got in the back of someone, but then it looks like Ty Dillon, and I've got the clip actually. I'll play that in a minute. But Ty Dillon looks like he's got in the back of him. But they don't analyze it. There's no penalties. There's nothing. And when Gibbs, they did say, the commentary said Shane got high and tagged the wall and then come across the front of Gibbs. It didn't actually look like that. But they never really broke down the incident and tried to find who is at fault. It's almost like the person at fault doesn't matter. It just happens on the speedways and we move on.
Maybe he did just do it by himself as bush mechanics thrown in there, and they've just gone, let's not call him out on that. We'll just let that one slide. Maybe Denny's just had a whoopsie.
Hunters, I just want to take a moment to thank one of our fantastic supporters, Shaw & Partners Financial Services. Shaw & Partners are a leading national investment advice and wealth management firm. They act for and on behalf of individuals, institutions, corporates, charities, and family offices. So, if you're looking for advice or assistance with investments or strategies, look no further than Shaw & Partners Financial Services. With a 35-year history and 8 offices strategically placed all over Australia, their financial advisors are within reach and ready to provide tailored solutions and advice. For more information, follow the link in the description of this podcast. Back to the show.
If you did watch the race, Chase Elliot did end up getting the win.
He did. Yeah, we didn't even touch on that.
Super exciting, especially those last 10, 15 laps was awesome. Very cool for Chase Elliot to get the win, because his old man Bill Elliott won that race 5 times. Chase now won it 2. So he'll be closing the gap, which I'm sure there's probably a bit of a rivalry there over the.
Well, he only lives like half hour down the road, doesn't he?
He's a hometown boy, apparently.
Yeah.
So they kept saying. That was pretty good. I was pretty happy with that result because Chev fan, bit of a Chase Elliott fan. He's quiet. He's one of those drivers that never really. You don't really hear much about him, but he's obviously with a great team in Hendricks. He won a lot of shit. And I just like the way he goes about it. He just goes racing, doesn't sort of say too much, do too much, just gets in the car, does the job and goes home. So
they even said when he crossed the line, no, you don't normally see him that animated. Yeah, it was cool to see. And it obviously means a lot to these guys to get a win in this championship, in this category is everything.
And he hadn't won yet this season.
No.
So, again, he's in one of the top teams. There'd be a lot of pressure there. He's won a heap of races in the past. So, that would be a weight off his shoulders for sure because he'll be strong at the end of the year.
Bubba Wallace.
Yeah.
He had a big lose on his own. He had actually gone a lap down earlier in the race, got that lap back and then was up to P12. Had the big slide, spun down the infield and tagged the inside wall. But, yeah, he's one the pressure is on. I'm fairly sure he is just inside the cut line. But the way, a race like today goes, you got to get that win to secure it.
Pressure for Bubba too because he's with 2311, Denny Hamlin's team, Michael John's team. But his teammate's Tyler Reddick. And Tyler's regularly fighting for wins.
We saw it today, yeah.
And always in it as well. And he just always seems to be a fair way up the road on Bubba. So I've got no doubt the pressure will be on him.
Yeah.
Because you don't have your drives forever.
No, exactly.
And Denny's made it pretty clear that he knows that those cars are good cars and what he expects of them. And he expects both of them to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'd be a shitload of pressure there for sure on both of them. But I think Tyler is regularly living up to that pressure.
Yeah.
But it'd be starting to piss Bubba off, no doubt, because he kind of hasn't really had it on Reddick at all. Not this season.
No, and I mean, that last race they had at Pocono, they obviously had the mechanical dramas, but you're right. I think the pressure is starting to turn up a little bit on Bubba. But anyway, I did love the post-race interview with Ty Dillon talking about, Denny Hamlin's famous little line where he said, I beat your favourite driver. The commentator says, which one? He says, all of them. And he's such a badass. You're a big fan of his, but I love him. I think the way he just plays the villain, and especially because I think it was Kyle Busch said you can play the villain when you win in races, and he can back it up, talks the shit and goes out there and backs it up as well. But Ty Dillon played some games today as well in the post-race interview, which I'll play the little dialogue now.
All you Denny fans out there, I just knocked your favorite driver out.
There you go.
So good. And what he's referencing is actually the in-season challenge, which I think is an amazing initiative, really, from NASCAR to keep the fans engaged, to reward the fans. There's prize money for them as well, $1 million for the fans, but also $1 million for the driver that wins the in-season challenge. Do we want to go over...
Explain what that is before we dive back into the other stuff, Scotty, because it's super cool. It's a great initiative, and this is the sort of stuff that supercars, other racing series around the world should be paying attention to, this sort of stuff.
100%. All right. So what I've done is I've put together some dot points just so that because we needed a bit of an explanation on this bad boy as well because I didn't totally understand it. But what it is NASCAR's first ever in-season tournament, inspired by March Madness and the NBA in-season tournament. Adds excitement during the summer season stretch. Also, obviously, adds storylines and rivalry matchups, which is what supercars really need right now. I think they're looking for the same thing, and that's why this is so relevant. But the winner of this matchup wins $1 million bonus, and the fans can win also. How it works is 32 drivers qualify based on the points after a set cutoff race, which was the Nashville Super Speedway. So the top 32 at that point in the championship are seeded. So they verse each other. So, for instance, it's 1 v 32, 2 versus 31st, and so on. Goes down the grid. Each race is a head-to-head. You only need to beat your opponent to advance, not the whole race. So it doesn't matter if you win or lose as long as you're ahead of the guy that you're seeded against for that round. It's played out across 5 rounds. Round 1 is obviously the Echo Park Speedway. So this was the first round. And then the next round is in Chicago. So you can take them through the in-season battle, but I guess for me, just quickly, supercars should definitely look at this type of thing. And sponsors like Boost Mobile have been amazing for jumping on board with things like this. They did the Overtake Challenge, which I won at Townsville.
You and Shane won.
Shane won the following weekend. I think it was a really cool thing. All it was really was Peter Adderton went, the racing's boring. Let's chuck $5,000 at the biggest the person who makes the most overtakes. And it is a great initiative. I remember qualified bad and I thought, fuck it, I've got to get desperate here and try and win that $5,000. And you do race a little bit harder, but obviously, like you've said before, it means you normally qualify bad to be able to pass the most. But it's a cool initiative to just generate some engagement throughout the season as well. And just before we move on, sorry, I did forget the way the fans win. So there's obviously engagement through socials and things where the fans can get involved, but the fans can fill out brackets to predict all matchups. A perfect bracket pays out $1 million for the fans as well.
Yeah.
So there's $1 million going to a fan if they pick the correct brackets, like the correct driver versus driver.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Which is unbelievable. There's $2 million up for grabs, mate, which is very cool. So round 1 of 5 is completed.
Yep. So you just want me to go through the round 2 matchups because we don't need to go through the round 1 matchups, obviously, because we've had it?
I think so, yeah. So who's advanced to the next one?
So we've got
obviously top 16 now, so it must be 32 to 16.
Yep. So we've got Ty Dillon versus Brad Kozlowski. We've got Bowman versus Wallace. We've got Nemechek versus Elliot. We've got Jones versus Stenhouse Jr. We've got Smith versus Busher. Almendinger versus Gibbs. Hocevar versus Reddick. That'll be a good little battle. And we've got Noah Gregson and Ryan Preece.
Yes, and I will pop the graphic for this off the website onto the stream as well. So right now you'll be looking at it with us. And the thing that blew me away, because you even said, shit, imagine being 32nd going, fuck, I'm up against first.
Yeah.
But the wild thing is Denny Hamlin had a disaster. He's out.
Had a wreck. So Ty Dillon got to he's into the next round.
Exactly. And that's what brings us back to Ty Dillon's interview after the race. That clip will go viral. It's already going nuts. And that's the stuff we're talking about. The supercars need to embrace because you just got a mega piece of content out of there for a guy who's 32nd in the championship. Isn't really part of the conversation.
Yep.
He's now just knocked out the guy who's first in this in-season battle, and he's in contention going to round 2 of this in-season battle to win $1 million.
Who looking at those ones, mate, who do you think is going to be a spicy battle? Who do you reckon is going to run around each other that could cause a bit of drama?
Actually, Bowman Wallace.
Yeah.
I think. Stenhouse versus Jones. I just think Stenhouse is spicy anyway.
Yeah.
He always seems to be on the right side in his opinion, but you know what I mean? I feel like he could spice this up. But yeah, I think I'd probably call out to start with Bowman versus Wallace. I think that's an interesting one to look at because Wallace is as well. I mean, he's this weekend not had a great result and he's in desperate need of a win being on the bubble. Yeah,
I think the Hocevar and Reddick one will be I think that'll be because they'll be probably I thought Chicago next, so maybe not. But I was going to say going on that, then I think actually they're both kind of not very good on a road course. That'd be interesting. I thought if it was on a speedway or a oval, they'd be fighting up the front. That'd be entertaining to watch. But being Chicago, they might be battling out for 30th. So we'll see.
Who's better on a road course between Bowman and Wallace?
Bowman.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I mean, Wallace last year in the wet.
Wallace struggles on the road courses, and he openly admits that. He
has been putting in a lot of effort though. But anyway, that in-season battle, I'm a big fan of it. I know it's a little bit of a gimmick, but fuck me, it's $1 million on the table. That's unbelievable. And it might make drivers. Imagine knowing who you're up against and going, I could Bowman won Chicago last year. Good point, Lynn. Lynn is all over it. Lynn actually threw in here as well a nice...
Lynn is all over it.
Lynn Crosby has thrown in there as well in our chat that SVG and Bell had the third fastest lap of the race today.
I think you come back saying 4th, a couple of rows under that, but close
actually
enough.
4th fastest. There you go. Well, you corrected yourself in there.
Amanda Smith's on it too. Reddick is actually not bad on the road course. He's run well in the past as well. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, Chicago is going to be... It's going to be an interesting race anyway, just regardless of this in-season battle, because we've obviously got SVG there, Will Brown's there, in Xfinity.
Who you got between Will and Shane? Who you got? Do you think Will can take it to him, or do you think he can beat him? Or
I think I say Shane because he's obviously got so much more experience in these cars now than Will does. Like if they'd rolled up and it was their first time together, I think it'd be probably closer. I probably think... Well, colleagues doing a good job, especially it's actually going to be very interesting. And it's a freaking straight track. Anything can happen.
All right,
like we saw today, 23 cars get wiped out.
Yeah.
Like, fuck. I mean, you could never preempt any NASCAR race.
Yep. Sorry, Shane. I'm going for Will. Yeah. Look, Will's my co-driver, mate. I'm sorry, but
and I agree with Cassie in our comments here. As long as one of them wins, I'll be happy.
Could you imagine? Shane has the win now, right? He's in the playoffs. I just think it'd be so cool to see Will turn up because you look at Sonoma last year, exactly, yeah, and make Shane look stupid. No, but I think between them, my gut tells me. I mean, Shane has the experience in these cars. He's been to Chicago now twice. He's doing Xfinity on Saturday and Sunday. Look, it's hard to go against Shane. You've probably got to say he's the favourite. But I would love to see Will right up the front, and I do think he has a great opportunity to do it in that car.
The other interesting thing with Will, now that I think about it, is Corlick are doing a great job. Will's got Andrew there with him, who engineered SVG to win there.
Yeah,
in the same cars. So if let's just say there was a bit of firepower there that SVG had, which was AE tuning the thing up for him.
Yep.
Will's got that, and he's got all that experience. He have all that data probably, and all those driver notes and everything.
Yep.
So it's probably going to be. It's going to be bloody interesting. I actually can't wait.
Yeah, and I know someone put in there at the moment that Will is struggling against Brock. Hey, Will and Brock have been neck and neck, and you just can't take away from what Brock is achieving at the moment. So I don't think you can discredit Will's ability right now based on the performance of Brock. Like Brock is operating some freakishly good window.
Will's the champion from last year. People don't forget. That's where who remembered comes from, guys. Like, he's a champion last year. Now people are writing him off because he's had a couple of bad rounds. Yeah. Like, come on.
Exactly, yeah. So I think Brock right now, though, as well, you just got to go, holy shit, that guy's operating at some crazy level. But it doesn't mean that, I think you're splitting them by a tenth or half a tenth at the moment in supercars, which is, unfortunately, sometimes it's 5 spots, right? But in NASCAR, a tenth on that course. I reckon it's going to be, you put it at Prezzo Scott D1 cheerleader for car one. Hey, look, mate, I know where my paycheck comes from. But, it's hard. Yeah, I genuinely reckon our guys can go over there and be fucking competitive. Sonoma, he was P3 in practice 1. I reckon he's on for a shot.
The only other thing that would make Chicago even better this coming weekend is if Cam was there in an RFK car, because RFK cars are on this year as well. Like, I think...
And Brock. Could you imagine the 4 of them? I think
if Cam, Will and Shane were there, it would be very, very spicy.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel bad for Cam, that Sonoma event that he did, the car was rubbish.
Yeah, shit. But so was Will's. Will had that many dramas.
I know, the ECU drama. And then Roland Dane and the guys were... And even... I think Andrew was saying, we've got to start from the lane, like change the ECU, and they didn't want to do it. And then he had ECU dramas the whole race, which is devastating. Could I please have another cold one, mate?
You can, mate. Yeah, so, I mean, I've no doubt, hopefully Cam will get back into a cup race eventually somewhere, and if he's still got the tyre in there via Ford with RFK, I think it's good timing, because when he did do it, RFK were definitely not as strong as what they are this year.
No, sound check. Shout out to Cam, top 5. He finished up 5th in the truck series at
Lime Rock.
Lime Rock.
That track looks amazing, by the way.
Yeah,
they've got the jump there.
Some of the opportunities these guys are getting are unreal. And I saw a comment come through today on our socials to ask if when Ambrose did it back in like 04, was there the interest from other supercar drivers? I honestly, I just don't think.
04 is in supercars, but yeah.
Yeah, but 05 he left, didn't he? So, sorry, I meant like, I think 04.
Yeah.
Look, whatever it was, Elliot.
You would have pulled me up on that, mate. Sorry.
That is true.
I was thinking of that today, actually, and I would say no, because now with social media, we've got so much access to it, whether it be via apps or social media or whatever. And obviously, when Marcus headed over, we weren't obviously quite there with what we are today with technology and social media and all that stuff. So no is the easiest answer. And then they wouldn't have done, like we've seen between this year and last year, like last year when Cam did his first truck race, they broadcasted it on KO. So Aussies and Kiwis could watch him.
Yeah.
Like they would never have done that 15 years ago, because they'd be like, well, it's such a small market, why would we bother?
Yeah.
So I think, short answer is no.
And even in terms of sponsorship as well, I think there's some Australian brands that get behind Will, some great ones with Shaw and Partners, if you haven't noticed. But Shaw and Partners Financial Services are doing a great deal with car number 13 in the Cup Series at Chicago this weekend, but also Southern Cross Truck Rentals as well. There's a few brands. I mean, even Mobile X, right? So you've got Peter Adderton, who's been 30 years supporting drivers for longer here from Australia and New Zealand. So there's brands, I reckon, as well that are getting great value. I know Mobile X is American, but the brands here in Australia as well through social media and KO and the like you just mentioned, they're getting really good coverage out here in Australia. So you can have an Aussie brand racing offshore, getting great promotion. And you think about it, the pond is pretty small for Aussies racing in NASCAR right now. So all eyeballs are going to be on Will. So I think it's a branding opportunity. It's amazing for an Aussie company. Quadlock is another one. Like I think they're on the rear quarter of his car, so keep an eye out on that. But Quadlock is an Australian brand. I know that they are a global brand right now, but Australian, founded here in Melbourne. And I think that for those guys, there's everyone's going to be watching Will. So, like, what an opportunity for an Aussie company to get great exposure.
We got 5 Aussies in Chicago, is it?
Well, in Cup Series, you've only got...
You got the 2, and then you got...
Shane's a Kiwi.
Sorry, yeah, but
that's...
I class him as an Aussie.
No, Shane's not an Aussie.
No, he's a Kiwi.
Yeah, he doesn't deserve the tag.
Aussie/Kiwi. Supercar drivers, I should say.
We've also got heaps of Kiwi fans that be upset me saying he doesn't deserve the Aussie tag.
Yeah, that's fine. Who owns the Pavlova? Anyway, supercar drivers. So we've got Brock, Shane, and then you got Jack Perkins doing Xfinity.
Yeah.
Anyone else? They're the 3 for Chicago, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's like, but you think about that 10 years ago, 15 years, that many would never happen.
No.
So the pathway is definitely getting, paved.
Yep.
It obviously started off with, I mean, back in the day, Dick Johnson went over, I think Grice went over, did NASCAR stuff, but really it's been since Shane in the recently, where I think, to your point, sponsors have seen the value in it. NASCAR's seen the value in promoting across this side of the world.
Well, you think about it too, the fan base you take from here. Like my dad he was a massive Dick Johnson fan, but I don't think he would have had an opportunity to really watch him in NASCAR when he went over and raced, because like where would he have?
Well, wouldn't have been, like there wasn't streaming and pay TV and shit and whatever, and Foxtel was probably the only pay TV back then, right?
You think
Sound check.
Right now, it's a crime to speak over it. But YouTube, Will is even documenting his trip. So if you want, check out Will Brown's socials as well and YouTube, because it is cool to see. Do you see he did a tailgate today?
I did. I saw
a bunch of beers.
I didn't watch it. I saw the vlog come up.
But it's cool to be able to follow our drivers, go over and do these things. I'm very jealous. Like I think that, even like you think about someone like a Win Cup. I wonder if it crossed his mind to have done it. And I think even now, like J-Dub could go right now. And he's still young. He could actually go do a Chicago, just a one-off race. Actually, if I was him, I'd be...
Actually, Nicholas in our comments said too, Owen Kelly, and Owen did really well in a couple of Xfinity races too. And he qualified for Ambrose at a couple of races.
Who was that, sorry?
Owen Kelly.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Owen was over there for a long time. Owen he did really well. And I think, unfortunately, for whatever reason, that gets forgotten a little bit. But yeah, Owen did an amazing job over there.
He's mates with Ambrose, isn't he?
Yeah, and he qualified for when Ambrose was having to fly back and forth from whether it be the truck or 1-to-1, he was missing qualifying. So Owen had qualified it at a couple of spots for him. And James Davison's done it. Thanks, Prezzo. Yeah, so James has done some stuff. So there's actually been, when you think about it, it's actually amazing the number of guys that have had a crack and dipped their toes in the water over there.
It's the hardest thing is you're probably looking at $250,000 US as a budget to go and do these one-off races.
It's not cheap.
It is not cheap. So these guys are doing a good job to put the budget together and go over and do a one-off race.
Yeah, 100%.
And even truck series. Like that stuff's, I think it was $100,000 or something like that you're looking at for an event, US.
Because I think even the ARCA stuff's not that cheap, mate. And like you're rolling around with AMs. Like it's... And
you think about Will's Sonoma round. So put the budget together and then roll up with an ECU issue the whole fucking day. You'd be... frustrated, mate, to say the least.
Even to get yourself over there, it's expensive.
I know. Yeah, we're talking about going and doing
shit's just ridiculous. So it's honestly awesome to see the opportunities.
Yeah.
Hopefully they keep coming, because we know on this side of the world, between New Zealand and Australia, we've got some of the best talent, especially in this style of car. So yeah, that'll be good.
Should we tick off just quickly the little high five to our mate in P8 and P7 in the 2 stages?
I was thinking that,
I think that was really cool. You
got some stage points.
You chucked in the stage points, and Cindric won stage 1, Reddick stage 2, but Shane finished up 7th in stage 2 and 8th in stage 1. So
how many extra points did he get with that, mate?
7 points you pick up for that. So 4 in stage 2 and 3 in stage 1.
Beautiful.
Maths on the fly. That's about as good as driver math gets to 3 + 4.
Every point counts.
Bubba Wallace was just inside, so he picked up 1 stage point, but I'm not sure what happened to him after that because he did go a lap down, and then when he got it back, he made he forgot quickly and
had the
lost onto the infield.
Bingo.
What about in the race, mate? Before we move on, was there anyone that stood out to you in there as a surprise or a disappointment you thought would have done better? Obviously, all 4 Penske cars went out after being favourites, but we say 4 because they ran who was Josh Berry? Is it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're kind of like a satellite
team.
Like they share setups and stuff, I think. Who do I think would have gone? Well, Larson was MIA a little bit, but obviously, did he grab damage in that shunt? I actually can't remember now.
Listen, Larson, Larson's a tricky one. How do you talk about that guy? Because he's one of the best, right? But I feel like he's he's got such a strong following that he's forgot recently, hasn't he? Like, you talk about him and go, well, where's he been recently? And, Shane's out qualifying him in the ovals. During the race, he was out there. I think he must have had damage because he was just like midfield the whole day. But he's really, like, you look back at his double and he keeps getting interviewed about that, whether he would do that again. I think logistically he's admitted it's just not possible. He's
upset me by pulling the pin on the supercar thing anyway. Don't want to talk about him.
Devastated.
I wanted to see that.
I was curious about that. And it would have been cool because I think RD was behind that program and it would have been good to see Larson in a supercar at the Adelaide 500. But, yeah, I think since the double, he had a terrible double and then just hasn't been anywhere
but
since.
To answer your question, mate, I'll give a shout-out to Connor Zilic because he came home 11th and it's his second or third – I don't want to understand, second or third cup race. And Dale Jr. was saying in the telecast, he's obviously quite a level-headed kid. He's just out there to learn. But, he still brought it home 11th and he was still hustling the thing.
Yeah.
And he kept out of trouble, which other people didn't. So he's obviously got a high racing IQ and able to see shit unfolding and react for that. So I would probably say Larson forgot, and I'll say Connor Zilic remembered, and good on you, buddy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he got overlooked in the race as well. He didn't really get talked about. I think which I was surprised because there seems to be a bit of hype surrounding him. So I thought he'd be.
He's only 18 or 19 or something too. He's so young.
Yeah. So he's a rookie in the Xfinity Series, or full-time season. And what's he done, 2 cup starts or something?
It's funny because I'd been following him for a couple of years because he did TA2 Trans Am, if you like, in America.
Yep.
With Silverhair, and Chev backed him and he just hosed everyone. Like the guy would fail qualifying tech or whatever and come from last on a road course and just win by a mile. Like he was lights out.
Yeah, right.
So I've sort of been following him for a couple of years since then, and he just had a couple of really impressive drives against good drivers.
Well, when Scotty Mack was in a pod, they did the endurance race together.
And he was faster than Scott and Shane in the Daytona.
All right, in-season championship at the moment. We've got Byron leading that. I'll run through the top 10 quickly. Chase Elliott is P2 now. Kyle Larson still third. So talking about the guy who we think is forgotten, he's still right up there on the points. Denny Hamlin's 4th. Christopher Bell 5th. Reddick 6th. Blaney 7th. It's crazy that the top, we talked NASCAR and IndyCar last week. For the top Penske car in this, I think in the IndyCar championship is 7th and 8th is the top Penske car. And then in the NASCAR championship, you got the top Penske car in P7. Chastain 8th, Chris Buescher 9, and Chase Briscoe over in P10.
Yep.
So that's the regular in-season championship. What about the bubble, dude?
The bubble, I've just done really the positions that count. So we won't run from 1 to 16, which is where the line is. But I'll go from Shane, which is 10th. So Shane's in 10th on 6 points. You got Chase Elliott on 5 points in 11th. Ross Chastain on 5 points in 12th. Tyler Reddick on 1 point in 13th. Chris Buescher is 14th. Alex Bowman 15th. Bubba Wallace is the last one in the cut line in 16th. And then on the bubble, or just out of the bubble, you got Ryan Preece, who's coming on strong. So I reckon he's going to dive in there soon. Eric Jones in 18th. AJ Allmendinger, who's a bit of a specialist on road courses too. So he's one, and Colleagues is coming on. He's a chance to win a race too. in the right circumstances in 19th. And then you got Carson Hossava in 20th. And we both sort of like the cut of his jib and can see him winning a race pretty soon. So
I don't even know why. I haven't seen that much of him.
Just because he's upsetting people. I think he's so confident in his own skin that he, like sometimes that is refreshing to people just to say what they think. And it's like Max.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to the press. Fuck off. Like, I'm not interested. I'm here to race a car. He's kind of got a bit of that.
Yep.
Very cheeky. So I think, that appeals to some people maybe.
Yeah. No, and if you're loving it as much as we are, of course, they go racing next week. So if you want to keep an eye on it, Chicago is Sunday, 6th of July. And then you go straight into Sonoma, which I love Sonoma. That was the one we were going to try and get to, but hasn't lined up.
On Chicago, I reckon we should ring the PM. That should be a day off.
Chicago.
Monday should be a day off for us so we can watch it properly.
2 Aussies in the Cup Series. Well, hang on.
And New Zealand.
You are doing the marathon on Sunday. You got Monday off.
Oh, we do. We can watch it.
We can watch it.
I won't be able to walk, but we can watch it.
So for those wondering, if you think Elliot looks trimmer, he's training for a marathon, which he runs next Sunday. So wish him good luck. But Monday we got off. So if you are, Monday we'll watch the Chicago street race. And then they go to Sonoma, which is another cracker. That track is unreal. And Shane's going to be a favourite there. Then they go to Dover the following week. And then they go to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So back-to-back races. That takes you to the end of July.
And if you haven't checked out the NASCAR app and you do like NASCAR, check it out because it's actually worth the money, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, guys.
On that note, thanks for joining us.